Good morning and welcome everyone, and thank you very much for having the opportunity to address you guys today. My name is Patrick Johnson and I'm from Microchip Technology, and explain a little bit. You might have seen on one of the other slides the Microchip logo combined with the Microsemi logo, and that's because earlier this year Microchip acquired Microsemi. And I'll talk more about it through the presentation, but essentially the path that Microsemi was on with regards to the RISC-V foundation and their interaction here, we completely agree with, and it's kind of in our DNA as well. And so we're happy to come together and continue the work here. Okay, so if we look at the marketplace, and Martin did a great job setting this up, and we share a lot of the same philosophy. He talked about the core to the edge and big data and fast data. And primarily what we're looking at and the problem that we're looking to solve is more towards the edge. And if we look what's happening with the big dynamics that are there with 5G, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, it's creating a whole new set of challenges for us that we need to tackle. 5G, it brings a lot of ultra high bandwidth, but at the same time dramatically decreases the latency and how quickly we need to respond. In the Internet of Things, as these things are on all the time, it could be appliances, your connected doorbell, your connected smoke detector. These things have low power requirements. They're thermally constrained, and they do need high levels of security as well. And he also pointed out if you take an autonomous vehicle, it generates a tremendous amount of data in a given day. An autonomous car, some people say, generates almost 4,000 gigabytes of data per day. There's no possible way that that could be sent to the cloud, processed, and brought back in a timely fashion. It's got to be processed now, and it's got those severe real-time constraints. So this sets up an interesting set of challenge for us as we're dealing with this fast data. Starting with the security aspects. You've probably seen numerous things. Every day that goes on, more and more things are getting hacked. Whether it's security cameras and baby cams. You probably see instances where car vehicles have been taken control of remotely. And then just recently, I don't know if you saw here in the state of California, but they're passing legislation that starting in January 1 of 2020, that Internet of Things devices are going to they have to employ a reasonable amount of security for them to be able to be sold. And these devices, as we're at the edge and we're dealing with fast data, they're typically in service for many, many years. They need to be reliable. And, again, low power, because they could be constrained by a power over Ethernet cable and how much power comes. They could be running on a battery, many other things. So they need to be low power, and sometimes it's just they're in a difficult environment. And so they're thermally constrained by the surrounding. There isn't a fan to be able to take away that heat. And as you see many of these examples here, as Martin said again, this is fast data. You have to act on it quickly. It has to be deterministic, and it has to make a decision now. So this sets up a real interesting set of challenges for us. But that's one of the great things about our community, our industry that we love, is we love a good challenge. And how do we respond to that? Is we respond by innovating. But for our perspective, innovation is something that comes and is accelerated when we get people together. And looking across the room here and seeing 1,000 people getting together to figure out how we're going to innovate and take things forward is exactly what we need to make the progress we need. A little background as well as our participation into RISC-V. And Microsemi first attended the second RISC-V workshop in July of 2015. It was a lot of fun for the guys that attended, and it was quite interesting to us to see where it was headed. So shortly thereafter, in September of 2015, Microsemi joined as the foundation as a founding platinum sponsor. And we did that along with all these other great companies that you see here on the slide. And then in March in 2016, we saw a need with some of our customers that they needed to, that potentially could be filled by a RISC-V core. So in working in conjunction with Sci5, we developed with them a soft RISC-V core that we were able to deploy onto our FPGAs in just 3 months of time. And I think that's an interesting thing is, think about the amount of time that we were able to do that and work with our customers to and Sci5 to deliver that. It speaks again to the pace of innovation that, RISC-V and the foundation can provide to the industry. We followed up with that. We had another customer that was also interested in marrying the combination of our FPGAs along with the RISC-V core, and needed to be low power. So they leveraged our Igloo 2 low power FPGAs to deliver a prosumer time-lapse video camera that you see here. And it was one of the world's first commercial shipments of our Igloo 2 with with the RISC-V core. We talked earlier, a lot of the presentations talked about the configurability. It's not fragmentation, but it's configurability, it's flexibility. And that configurability allowed us to also work with another customer that had very significant high reliability requirements for their platform. So we worked with them to implement a dual lockstep RISC-V CPU system with a master and a slave to meet their very, very challenging high reliability requirements. And then in December of 17, in the spirit of the foundation and the cooperation that we have here, we also launched our My5 Ecosystem to really make it easy for everybody to be able to come together and develop solutions. And then earlier this year in March, we had another milestone where we had one of our customers continue to work with the RISC-V core and our FPGAs, and they decided to develop a system that was going to be put into space, and based on the RISC-V core. So, for us, you can take away from that for someone to decide that they're going to deploy this, into a system that has to work every single day and is deployed for decades, and it's an incredible amount of money and investment. This is something that they really need to rely on, and they trust it. And then in May of this year, partnering with Sci5 and ASIC Design Services, we demonstrated an example of that fast data or machine learning on our FPGA working in conjunction with the RISC-V core on the world's first RISC-V PC. And May was also another big milestone for us, for both Microsemi and also for Microchip, as we came together as one company. So you'll see out on the show floor in the booth, you'll see the logos that are there together. But I can assure you we're one company moving forward, and we're completely behind this. Many of you may be more familiar with Microsemi. For those of you who aren't, a little bit about Microchip. We're a leading embedded control solutions company, and this fast data is the type of things that we deal with. We're really, embedded when you look at it. We're, from our company, if you look at that logo there, that's kind of the unifying thing of how we go to market and provide solutions for making things smart, connected, and especially secure. So you probably know us more for our microcontrollers or analog or memory solutions. But one of the things that's not obvious, because it's kind of underneath, was actually the subject of my talk. The title was the freedom to innovate. This is philosophically how we look at our products and what we try to deliver to the marketplace. We try to deliver those building blocks that are out there and allow people to unleash their own creativity. With this approach, we've grown quite rapidly. We're now a $6 billion company. But just to put that in perspective, 9 or 10 years ago, we were a $1 billion company. So over that period of time, we've grown from 1 billion to 6 billion. And again, that's because we provide these building blocks in the industry and let people, create all the great products. Also, as part of it, because it's really important here as we look to scale our RISC-V efforts, currently today we have more than 150,000 clients. And one of the ways that we do that, because that is an immense number of clients that we serve, is we do that through many of the things that you guys are doing here today already, but in terms of an ecosystem. So this was a survey that was done last year from embedded market study for EE Times and AspenCore. And engineers around the world were asked, which company has the best ecosystem to fit your needs? And at the top of the list was Microchip. And we've been doing that for a long time with our PIC micros. And more recently, we also acquired Atmel a few years back. We've been doing it with Atmel and other industry initiatives like Arduino is one of the key things that we've been working on. So with that, I'm pleased to talk today about the news that we have to offer. And we're here today to talk to you about our first RISC-V SoC architecture. And what we're doing here is we are implementing a multi-core RISC-V subsystem inside of our low-power PolarFire FPGA architecture. And what that's going to deliver is the ability to be able to get the richness of Linux, but in a real-time manner. If you think back to my earlier slides, we talked about all those difficult requirements in terms of low power, in terms of thermal constraints, determinism, and security. This platform that we're developing is going to be able to deliver that for these fast data type products that sit there on the edge. In terms of the building blocks that we're working to provide to help people develop these types of solutions, starting with hardware, we have the PolarFire Hi5 Unleashed expansion board, which works in conjunction with the Hi5 Hi5 Unleashed board. And together, this board, when you put them together, is basically 98% of what's going to be the finished FPGA solution. And that's going to be available to key customers along with a new network that we have of embedded experts that are going to be able to provide design services for this platform. From a software perspective, we partnered with Antmicro to provide a free software that delivers a complete PolarFire SoC subsystem model, and it will allow software and debug capabilities. Antmicro has this. You can see it in our booth across the hall after the presentation. And then we're also launching a new My5 Embedded Experts network to support this platform. And you see all these great companies here. Some of them are in our booth that you can see, as well as we invite other companies to join as well. We're also offering several other sessions today, both from Microchip that you see up there, along with our partners at Micrium and also at Antmicro. I encourage you to stop by and visit with those sessions as well to get more details about what we're offering here. So with that, I want to thank you. I'm really excited to be here, excited to be part of the RISC-V movement that we have. We're really excited about it, and I invite you to go ahead and join the conference and visit our booth out there. We're right outside the door. Thank you very much.